Okay, hey folks, Mark Locklear here, and this is a screencast on how to use DB diagrams. So I am going to share my desktop. I'm going to drag a tab down here. So you all have seen probably lots of references to you've seen lots of references to the MySQL Workbench that the Mirac book uses. We're not going to be using that. Instead, we're going to use a tool called dbdiagram.io. Pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm going to show you how to do a handful of things here, but it's really pretty intuitive. I've got a link to the docs inside Moodle, so you can certainly read those if you want. But it's pretty straightforward. I'm already logged in, so you'll have to create an account. I think I used my Google account, my personal Google account, to be able to authenticate. So you can either create an account, or if you want to do a third party tool, you can. The best way probably to look at this, I would, when you first get started, is you can do new sample diagram, and it will create. This is a more sophisticated one. That's not quite the one I wanted. New sample diagram. I want basic. So, and it's going to give you this sort of users, followers, and posts. So, I mean, the idea is here something like Facebook or Instagram, social media. And, here it gives you this example of followers, users, and posts. The big thing is here on the configuration side is this area over here. You can see the syntax, how a table is defined. And then notice they have this reference or ref down at the bottom that sets up your relationships between your tables. You can go in and change this if you want. So let's say instead of users, I wanted people, let's say. And it says you can't do that because you've got other references to it in other places. And I bet you could do people. Yeah. And one more maybe. Okay. So you can use this however you want. It may be easier for you to go in and start from scratch, or it may be easier for you to start with a table like this and just modify it to fit what you want. One of the things I'm asking you to do is, yes, you're going to have to tap into some creative juices on your part to create your own database from scratch. And it can be on anything you like. Just, in the other screencast, I sort of focused on this idea that, creating databases is really just representing things that are already out there in the real world, right? So I'm always interested. It's fun as an instructor for me to see what people come up with. So you may have a hobby of crocheting, I don't know, or maybe it could be of your church, or maybe it could be of maybe your job and where you work. But taking any of those things and modeling it or making it fit into a database. And I think the other interesting cool thing is there's often relationships you see, when you model something inside something like a database that otherwise you wouldn't see. And I mean, relationships more from a technical standpoint, but it could be, like real world human relationships too. So anyway, one of the ways you can it's just so you know, the dashboard is here too. The dashboard shows you any databases that you've created and saved. And then, so this was a sample database. So there's basic and advanced. And then you can also just do new diagram, and that's going to give you a blank. Database to start with. And then you can either copy and paste. I think that's probably how I'll do it. I'll show you here in a moment. Copy and paste syntax from a previous database, or if you want to sort of type it out by hand, you can. Before we do that, I am going to create a sample database from scratch for you, just so you can see what that looks like. Notice you can also import here, and so for the My Guitar Shop exercises, for you to do that, you're going to have to import the create. I think it's called create myguitarshop.sql really straightforward. Just do import from MySQL. Then you're going to do upload SQL here. So you browse to it. I happen to have it on my desktop, so I'm just going to double click it there. Notice that it pastes. Again, this is the setup script for the My Guitar Shop. So in addition to creating all of the tables, it's also populating the database with data too. You can hit submit, and then it's going to insert all that. In fact, I'll just go ahead and do it. So if I hit submit, it's going to insert and create all of that for you. So you can see the entire database structure along with the relationships between those two. And in fact, if we scroll down at the bottom, you can see where all the relationships are set up there. Okay. All right. So in fact, I'm just going to highlight this and do that to remove it. So let's walk through creating our own or my own database. And in fact, in this case, let me go back to the dashboard and let's see, was this the last one? Looking for this simple one. I'm going to actually take and copy all of this. So Control C to copy, and then I'm going to open up Sublime. I'm going to paste it in there. And I'm going to see sort of use, do some cut and paste from this blank text document into my new database that I want to create. And I'm just going to do it sort of step by step that way. If I go back to my dashboard, let me go back to the blank diagram that I started with. So I'm just going to grab one of these guys. And I think what I'll do is I'm helping set up a conference, a technology conference in the spring. How would I represent that thing? And I'm doing this completely on the fly. So you're going to get to see me sort of fumble through it. And I haven't already necessarily thought about what the different entities would be, but I'm just going to do it right now on the fly. So thinking about a technology conference, what's one of the first things that come to mind? I'll pause for about 5 seconds and let you think about that. Okay. One of the things that comes to mind to me is, well, people really, but I'm going to call them attendees. All right. These are people who are going to be attending the conference. And they're going to be, and so the things I would get for attendees are going to be things like name, maybe employer. You want to know who they're working for. What's a number I might be able to put in here? Yeah, nothing's coming to mind right now, but I'm just going to stop there. Okay. So I've got attendees. What else would I have at a conference? How about speakers? And name employer might be important, but name, a speaker is going to have a talk, right? So I could say talk title, bar car. Talk length. And then that could be an integer, right? Now, what's the problem? Hopefully your skin is starting to crawl a little bit here, because does it make sense for me to have this table called speakers? And again, thinking about normal forms, does it make sense for me to have this table called speakers and then to have these fields called title, talk, title, length, which I've spelled wrong, length. Okay. It kind of doesn't feel right now. Part of the work I'm going to have you do in one of the exercises is I'm going to force you to have your data in first and second normal form, which is going to feel weird, but it should feel weird. That's the whole point. But hopefully the lesson is for you to sort of force you to walk through each of the forms. So you've got first normal form, which should feel weird. Second normal form should feel a little bit better, but then third normal form should, like, clouds should part and the sun should come out and it should feel all, should feel special. So in a way, we're in second normal form here, but let's go ahead and pull this out though, and let's put this in table talks. But I'm going to keep it singular. I'm going to say talk. And then inside talk, I'm going to have ID integer. And then I'm going to have title varchar. And I'm going to have length integer. What else could I have a talk? Title talk description varchar. And on and on. So you can sort of see how that. And in fact, I can go ahead and probably go ahead and set up a probably go ahead and set up an association here. What did I miss? Talk is not. We need a primary key. Why is talk not showing up? Let me pause that and figure out what's going on. Okay, that's weird. Talks. So apparently you can't have. If you noticed, I made one singular talk. That's odd. It didn't appear until I put the S for talks there, which that's sort of a debate outside of the scope of this class, but often depending on how you create databases, sometimes there's the conversation around should they be singular or plural. I generally like plural, or I'm sorry, I generally like singular for table names because well, that just makes sense to me. It's a talk. That entity represents a talk, and then you have multiple talks when you add data, but I digress. So now we've got attendees, speakers, and talks. So there's a relationship here, right? A speaker can have one talk or have many talks. Let's say that I'm just going to say for the sake of argument that we know a speaker is only going to have a single talk, right? Now, in the real world, maybe, probably, but I mean, generally, when I go to conferences, you know, like maybe if it was the CEO or something like that, they might have multiple talks or somebody important, but generally one speaker is going to have a single talk. So I'm just going to do a one-to-one relationship here. And if I do, you can actually drag. And if I do it like that, see, it doesn't give me the option to do one-to-many. So in this case, this would actually be one-to-many. A speaker can have many talks. So there's that piece. What else can we do? Again, you know, my point here is just to show you how to set the relationships up. I'll let you guys work through how you want things, how you want things to show up. What is another thing? So let's think for a second. Let's add one more attribute to our conference. How would attendees be associated with talks? Well, attendees are going to show up to a talk. They're going to attend a talk, right? So there's also a relationship there. So I'm just going to drag that down. And an attendee can attend many talks too, right? So that kind of makes sense. Talks are in the center. How about sponsors? Right? You go to a conference, generally conferences have, again, let's say it's a technology conference, you're going to have Microsoft, GitHub, you know, Amazon, they might be sponsors for the conference. They normally have their sponsor table set up out in front. People can go talk with their rep, that kind of thing. So I'm going to do ID integer. That's going to be a primary key. And then what are some attributes of a sponsor? Name. You can do that as varchar. We need some way to identify what business they're in. So industry, maybe that would be varchar. Let's come up with a number for them. Maybe revenue per year. Revenue per year. We'll just we'll call that a double. Okay. And then how would I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up here, but how would a sponsor relate to these other things, right? That's kind of a tough one. Certainly a sponsor could sponsor an individual talk. Let me fix. There we go. Certainly a sponsor could sponsor an individual talk, although like in the real world, it doesn't usually work that way. So this is one you would have to think about, right? I don't know that there is a direct, right now, there's probably no direct connection. There's certainly a sponsor's connection to the overall conference, and probably on the finance side is what I'm thinking. Usually sponsors, they give a certain amount of money to be called a sponsor for conference. So you'd probably have to add some budget tables here to represent that side of things. So I think that's all I'm going to do for now. I just wanted to walk you through that and show you how DB diagram works. When you submit these, if you'll just copy, you can go, I mean, I think you can just copy the URL and paste that into a text file, or you can do share here, and then you can do copy link here. Yeah, you can share that. So when you do the submissions for the exercises, anything you create inside DB diagram, just get the URL with the link, and then when you submit it to me, I'll be able to copy and paste that into a web browser so I can view what you did there. Okay. But on the creative side, again, I'm asking you, so be creative. Think about it. I mean, do something interesting. Everybody has some little corner of knowledge that they've got that I've probably never had any experience with, or I've never been around. So try and be creative with it. And I find too that whether it's database design like this, or whether it's creating a web application or something like that, if the creation is around something that you have intimate knowledge about and something you're passionate about too, like if it's something you really enjoy doing, then it's gonna just be more interesting work. Whereas, I mean, like the assignments are often hard because whether it's the guitar shop or whether it's the AP accounts payable database that we've been working with all semester, those probably aren't very interesting things. So you're sort of having to jump in somebody else's mind. But it's usually a lot more fun when it's a topic you already know about, you already know all the moving parts, you understand what the relationships are, but you're thinking about it in a different way, right? You've probably never created a database for that particular thing. So again, sort of choose something that you have intimate knowledge about, and that that you can take that knowledge and transfer it into a database. Okay, that's all for now. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.